This is a map of Africa. If you look in the northeast corner, you will find Egypt, home to one of the oldest human civilizations. This transcontinental country boasts a history longer than any other country in the world. Ancient Egypt is rightly considered the cradle of civilization, as both science and archaeology have shown that it was the origin of the earliest human development. Whether in art, literature, language, agriculture, urbanization, or engineering, the Egyptians seem to be the pioneers of technological advancement and prowess. You may think that the pyramids of Giza, mummified pharaohs and their hidden tombs are all there is to Egypt, but that is not even remotely true. Did you know that Egypt has blessed humanity with technology that we still use today? They were way ahead of their time. Some of their inventions are so complex that modern scientists cannot figure out how the ancient Egyptians had enough knowledge to create them. Not only that, they also equally focused on human development. Guess who invented toothpaste and toothbrushes? The Egyptians. Some ancient Egyptian technologies are so advanced that scientists are afraid of them. And in this video we will talk about some of these terrifying scientific secrets unearthed among the remains of ancient Egypt. The Egyptian civilization had a good knowledge of applied mathematics and engineering, which was reflected in the construction of the pyramids of Giza. The Egyptians were meticulous and precise in their construction style, following specific patterns and using specialized human resources under the control of a chief engineer and his subordinates. Geometry was a necessary byproduct of the surveying process and was used to preserve the layout and ownership of the land. Hellenistic Egypt is considered the origin of lighthouse technology. In Alexandria, there was a cantilever hoist that lifted the cargo of ships. The city's lighthouse, built in the 3rd century BC, was designed by Sostratus of Cnidus. The ancient Egyptians could work solid granite with bronze tools, which can be seen in the discovery of monumental stone buildings such as that at Saqqara. The obelisks are another engineering mystery, with 29 of them having survived to date. The shape of the pyramids and obelisks may have been inspired by natural phenomena related to the sun, suggesting that knowledge of astronomy influenced the construction methods of the ancient Egyptians. In ancient Egypt, ramps were used to move heavy objects, such as blocks, to build pyramids. The Great Pyramid encodes important mathematical constants such as pi, sigma, and Euler, known and used by the Egyptians thousands of years ago. The geometry of the Great Pyramid's elevation also encodes the proportions of the moon and earth. The Egyptians were experts in irrigation and built irrigation canals and ditches using their ancient Egyptian calendar. The ancient Egyptians practiced basin irrigation to take advantage of the floods of the Nile River and fertilize fields. They built land and banks to create basins that allowed water to sit for a month before being drained to downstream basins. They also built canals with gates to control the flow of water and form reservoirs in case of drought. The ancient Egyptians created water wheels and nilometers advanced for their time. The water wheels used the Shadaf counterweight system to irrigate crops. The nilometer measured the height of the river and was used to predict floods or droughts. The ancient Egyptians relied heavily on the water of the Nile, and these inventions allowed them to control it better. The ancient Egyptians had an advanced approach to agriculture and irrigation, which baffles modern scientists. Granite cylinders have been found that are confusing since it is not known what they were used for, and how they were carved without modern tools. Early humans used flint points to drill holes in teeth, bones and shells, and it is thought that this material was used to carve granite cylinders. An example is core 7, a cylinder engraved with concentric lines from 4,500 years ago, discovered near the pyramids by Flinders Petrie. Scientists are confused by a granite rock that looks like a drill core, suggesting that the ancient Egyptians could have drilled holes in solid granite, which is surprising since the copper tools of the time were not sufficiently powerful. If the Egyptians used diamonds to cut stone, we would have to look at history, since even today only diamonds are strong enough to drill granite. The concentric grooves in the Petrie granite rock are a mystery that defies our current knowledge. Ancient Egyptians managed to drill holes in solid granite with copper tools, according to archaeological evidence. However, the mysterious appearance of Core 7, found by British archaeologist Flinders Petrie, has baffled modern scientists. This cylinder appears to have been drilled with a modern diamond-tipped electric drill, due to its continuous spiral core pattern and the power needed to drill into granite. Experts have concluded that the drill used to make this core was more powerful than any modern electric drill, and there is no known tool that has this strength. A team of physicists from Russia and Germany discovered that the Great Pyramid of Giza can concentrate electromagnetic energy in its base and internal chambers. They used theoretical physics methods to investigate how the pyramid would respond to electromagnetic radiation, including radio waves, microwaves, gamma rays, X-rays, and ultraviolet light. They discovered that the base and internal chambers were where the scattered fields were concentrated. This groundbreaking study could help scientists design nanoparticles with desired optical properties. Although it is unlikely that the ancient Egyptians were aware of these unique properties of the pyramid, this discovery raises the possibility that they may have known more about physics than previously thought. Egyptian medicine was very advanced for its time and has left records in ancient papyri dating back at least 5,000 years. Papyri provide information about diseases, diagnoses, and remedies. Although early Egyptian medicine was based on spells and religious magic, doctors performed medical or surgical procedures. The most important papyri discovered include the Berlin Papyrus, the Ebers Papyrus, and the Kahun Papyrus, which focus on general pathology, gynecology, and pediatrics. The Edwin Smith Papyrus describes cases of trauma and Egyptian knowledge of human organs, including blood vessels and the heart. Until the Persian invasion in 525 BC, Egyptian medical practices remained more or less the same and simple non-invasive surgical procedures were performed. The Egyptians discovered the medicinal properties of local and foreign plants and offered several recipes in their papyri for health problems. The Ebers Papyrus provides 800 remedies, including topical ointments, bandages, and oral medications. They discovered metal surgical tools in Kar's tomb, made of bronze, and surgery was common to treat physical injuries. The triage system classified injuries as treatable, treatable, and untreatable. Tools used included saws, spoons, tongs, knives, drills, forceps, and more. Circumcision was common, and prosthetics such as artificial toes, eyes, and tongues were used. The ancient Egyptians had good knowledge of surgery, mummification, and religious autopsy, which provided them with adequate information about human morphology. They even correctly guessed the function of some organs. They knew that blood was a transport medium that carried oxygen and removed carbon dioxide, and they were also aware of the pulse and how it was related to the heart. They theorized about channels that transported air, blood, and water around the body and developed a way to treat a sick person by giving them a laxative that would unblock these channels. The Ebers Papyrus mentions the enema as a method of administering medications. In general, some Egyptian medical practices, especially in the field of surgery, were effective, as described in the Edwin Papyrus. Ancient Egyptian doctors advised hygiene and a healthy diet to prevent disease, and they had extensive medical knowledge that has baffled modern scientists. Shipbuilding was vital to the Egyptian economy and culture, and they used their knowledge of aerodynamics to build advanced ships with adjustable sails and stern-mounted rudders. The Egyptians were the first to use heavily armed ships and built everything from small papyrus rafts to large vessels capable of carrying heavy loads. The Khufu ship is an example of a well-preserved ship that would be found sailing today. Although it was not until 2400 BC that they were able to build ships that could withstand the waves of the Mediterranean. At the time the pyramids were built, Egyptian boats did not have keels, but used ropes to prevent capsizing. They were propelled by oars and a tall sail. Ships traveling to Lebanon to obtain valuable timber were recorded around 1500 BC. The Egyptians discovered how to build keels and internally reinforced hulls at this time, leading to two new types of ships. one with wide hulls for carrying cargo, and another with narrow galleys for war. The Egyptians used sundials and constellations to find out their location during their sea voyages. Some experts suggest that the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of electricity, as crypts have been found under the Temple of Hathor in Dendra that may contain ancient light bulbs and an object with a striking resemblance to a light bulb. However, this is still the subject of debate among experts. Some believe that the ancient Egyptians may have discovered electricity, due to inscriptions found in the Temple of Hathor in Dendra that appear to depict an ancient light bulb. While some proponents of this theory suggest that the ancient Egyptians produced light through rituals, most of these theories have been debunked by professionals. Although there is still a possibility that the ancient Egyptians encoded a deeper scientific meaning in the images and texts discovered. The Egyptians made a great contribution in astronomy, and their precision is still applied today. Although not considered a separate science at the time, Egyptian knowledge was deeply rooted in religion and mythology. The 7,000-year-old stone circles located in Upper Egypt are proof of their importance to religious life. The ancient Egyptians made important contributions to astronomy. At first, they used astronomical texts to establish the dates of religious festivals. They also developed a system of constellations and painted star charts on tombs and temples. During the Greco-Roman period, Claudius Ptolemy stood out as one of the most important astronomers of the time, cataloging more than 1,000 stars and describing how to predict planetary behavior. The Egyptians observed that the flooding of the Nile coincided with the appearance of the stars at the gate, and they used this observation to develop a 365-day calendar. His knowledge of astronomy also guided the orientation of sacred buildings and the setting of New Year's Day. The Egyptians believed that their gods lived in the kingdom of Osiris, which was located in the constellation Orion. The three pyramids of Giza represent the stars of Orion's belt, while the Sphinx represents the constellation Leo. Today, astronomers have discovered that the pyramid was designed to look toward the circumpolar stars in the northern sky very precisely. The ancient Egyptians, with their knowledge of astronomy, discovered variable stars and accurately calculated the algal period before the Europeans. They developed tools such as the sundial, the hourglass, and the marquette to measure stellar azimuths and divided the day into hours. They may also have proposed the idea of a spherical Earth. They built astronomically aligned temples with roofs to view the stars and calculate the hours at night. Although their observation of stellar alignment was not completely accurate, they were more advanced in astronomy than any other ancient civilization. The ancient technology discovered in Egypt eerily resembles that of the 21st century. We should not underestimate their civilization and their progressive approach and vast knowledge. But what is even more impressive are the works of the ancient Egyptians. We know that they liked to prepare and preserve their dead for the afterlife. But did you know that they took more secrets that might be impossible for us to discover? Archaeologists continue to unearth mysterious things in Egypt every day, and scientists can only become more and more surprised. Stay tuned as we tell you what scientists just discovered in Egypt, which shocked the entire world. The Lost Golden City is one of the most important archaeological discoveries in Egypt. About 3,000 years ago, the ancient city of Akhenaten was lost to Egypt, dating back to the reign of Amenophis III, a powerful Egyptian pharaoh who ruled from 1407 to 1376 BC. Later pharaohs, especially I and Tutankhamun, continued to use this city. Several attempts have been made to search for the lost city, but all failed. However, in September 2020, a team of archaeologists excavated on the west bank of Luxor, which is located 500 kilometers south of the capital of Cairo. What they saw will leave you speechless. They found a settlement of mud bricks that indicated a site of a great city. To his bewilderment, the site was in good condition, the walls are almost complete, and the rooms are filled with tools that were used in everyday activities. About 7 months later, they discovered several areas, including a residential area, an administrative district, and a bakery. Other items found in a nearly intact position include scarabs, amulets, jewelry, colorful pottery, and other valuable decorative rituals. Who could have expected such a sight to exist after centuries of supposed extinction? Betsy Bryan, a professor of Egyptology at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, revealed that the discovery of the ancient city would allow scientists a glimpse into the lives of the ancient Egyptians. The 1,310-meter-long tunnel, as if that weren't enough. Another shocking discovery that has been labeled a geometric miracle is the 1,310-meter-long, 2-meter-high underground tunnel at Topo Ceres Magna, a temple dedicated to Osiris, the god of the dead. This tunnel is an exact replica of the Eupolinus tunnel in Greece, which transported water for over 1,000 years. The underground tunnel is located approximately 13 meters below the temple. According to Kathleen Martinez, an archaeologist at the University of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, part of the tunnel is submerged. A plausible explanation for the submergence of part of the tunnel is the collapse of the temple after several natural disasters, such as earthquakes between the years 320 and 1303. During some earlier excavations at the site, archaeologists discovered a variety of artifacts, such as statues of the goddess Isis, a symmetry-filled Greco-Roman style, and coins bearing the names and images of Cleopatra VII. In earlier times, Cleopatra ruled Ptolemaic Egypt between 51 and 30 BC. It is said that she committed suicide along with her lover Mark Antony, a Roman general. It was recorded that they were buried together, but no one knew the exact place where they were buried. With the recent discovery, archaeologists are getting closer to knowing the location of the ancient queen's lost tomb. The pregnant ancient mummy. Here is another discovery that will make you feel scared. However, you need not worry, as the discovery is a mummy with a fetus in the womb, the first of its kind, and raises questions about the woman's identity and why she was mummified with her fetus. Later, she was named the Mysterious Lady of the National Museum in Warsaw. The mummy and its sarcophagus were donated to the University of Warsaw in 1826 and have been safely preserved in the National Museum in Warsaw, Poland, since 1917. The story behind the mummy is intriguing. Initially, he was thought to be a man due to the elaborate sarcophagus. But around 1920 there was a change in perception. The name of the coffin, made of cardboard Boric writing, differs from the previous perception and, according to the writing, the buried person was called Jordan. Then, in 2016, it was discovered that the delicate bones and mummy might not be from a man. There were no male reproductive organs. A three-dimensional reconstruction of the mummy revealed that he had breasts. Perhaps they placed a completely different mummy in the sarcophagus, or possibly to make it a more valuable artifact. If this is the case, they successfully passed her off as the first pregnant mummy. The Queen's tomb of 4,200. This is another historical discovery that has emerged from Egypt. It is a large tomb located in what was once Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt. Although the site has several pyramids, the latest discovery has provided one of the greatest rewards for Egyptologists. The tomb was discovered near the pyramid of Pharaoh Teti when an excavation began in 2010, and at that time no name revealed the identity of who the pyramid belonged to. However, in late 2020, investigators identified who he belonged to. A name was inscribed on a wall of a funerary temple that was discovered simultaneously. The tomb is of the queen and wife of King Teti, who died about 4,200 years ago. A leading Egyptologist and former antiquities minister says the discovery would help rewrite ancient Egyptian history, and this is because no ancient Egyptian story is named after the queen. The sarcophagus. Sometime last year, a team of archaeologists excavating an ancient necropolis in Leech, south of Cairo, discovered a huge granite sarcophagus that is thousands of years old. The coffin belonged to Tamaya, who was in charge as head of the treasury, but was also overseer of the livestock and responsible for the divine offerings of Thebes during the rule of Ramses II. Saqqara has been at the center of a culture and renaissance in Egypt. and the discovery of the Tumaya sarcophagus would help shape the Egyptian government after the death of King Tut. Ramses II, who succeeded King Tut, is believed to be one of the most important pharaohs who presided over Egypt during the New Kingdom period, a period during which Tumaya was a key member. The discovery followed the discovery of his tomb the previous year, and at that time it was rare to find a complete sarcophagus in his original tomb. This is because tomb raiders always raided those of dignitaries. However, the same thing was found with the discovered sarcophagus. The lid was broken, indicating the possibility that it may have been exposed to theft or opened in the past for burial. Despite everything, the sarcophagus is a spectacular discovery. The Valley of Golden Mummies. Here another shocking discovery is known as the Valley of the Golden Mummies, an ancient home of the dead. In 2001, an Egyptian team in the Bahariya Oasis discovered a large city of mummies located about 380 kilometers west of the pyramids. 4 tombs containing 105 mummies of high-ranking Roman Egyptians were excavated. Some of them have scenes related to religion, others golden masks. Although they have been there for over 2,000 years, they still look well preserved, and you can tell they have stood the test of time. Archaeologist Zahi Hawass said the discovery will bring Egypt into the modern world. For him, the discovery was not only about objects used only by people, but also about the people who made them. In the case of this excavation, scientists obtained information about the life and death of the Egyptians who lived in Bahariya. Throughout history, it is said that the people of this area gained their wealth from exporting wine to the Nile Valley.